Hi there. My name is Tom Franklin, and I am your resident soccer zombie here. And in case you are stumbling upon this channel for the first time, it is painfully obvious that yes, I am a St. Louis City SC fan in Major League Soccer. As you can see by all the stuff going on behind my left shoulder over here, I've acquired a lot of memorabilia from St. Louis City SC over their first season of play, and I love this team. But I have to question them just a little bit today after the announcement that only 8 MLS teams and 11 MLS Next Pro teams will be playing in the oldest soccer tournament in the United States, the Open Cup, this year. And of course, this wraps up a long, winding road with the MLS and U.S. Soccer over MLS's involvement in the U.S. Open Cup and its complaints that it causes too much fixture congestion, even though, as we all know that's been following this issue from the start, that fixture congestion is something that MLS created with the Leagues Cup. And there is no denying the fact that this is what MLS wants. And I've covered this at length on this channel. It's my very first video on this channel, so it might be a little bit raw, but if you want to, retread some old history, you can go up right here where my finger is and watch my very first video on this channel, which I did very raw and unscripted, like this video here, because it was the hot subject of the day in late December. This whole thing with the Open Cup and MLS's involvement in it. And now it has erupted again, now that it is reality, that the MLS is pulling down its pants and mooning soccer history in the United States with this play with the Open Cup and its attempt at a cash grab with the Leagues Cup. And it makes me angry. If I sound angry, it's because I am. It's because I'm angry like a lot of U.S. soccer fans right now. A lot of St. Louis soccer fans right now are very upset over this decision by the MLS to just completely subvert the U.S. Open Cup like this. It is infuriating to those of us who understand the history of the Open Cup and its tradition and what it means to not just MLS's pockets, but also soccer in the U.S. as a whole. Now, I say this while admitting that there are things about U.S. soccer that I'm a little bit ignorant to. Yes, I am wearing a St. Louis FC hat here. I went to one St. Louis FC game. I didn't return to St. Louis until 2018, and I was only able to make it out to Fenton for one game. At the time, the passion that I have for this game didn't quite exist the way it does now. I've had an interest in soccer all my life. I grew up in a soccer family. I played soccer growing up. Immaculate Conception, which means that our team was better than sex, literally, in the CYC. But I wasn't a very good soccer player, and I had a very casual interest in soccer up until most recent years because of St. Louis City SC, a team that has stolen the hearts of a lot of St. Louisans, not just longtime soccer fans, but casual fans like myself who have finally found something to embrace in sports that maybe we felt we were lacking with the St. Louis Cardinals and the St. Louis Blues, who act like they are bigger than the fans that they represent. And here we are with that same complaint about the Cardinals and the Blues, that here we are with St. Louis City SC and their stance on the Open Cup and what we can read between the lines. Now, to be fair, Diego Gigliani, the club president and general manager who just came aboard a few months ago, did put out a statement basically in more or less words stating that they wanted to play in the Open Cup and acknowledged that there were other teams that were not as hyped about the Open Cup as St. Louis is, at least on the surface. And I say that last part with a bit of a qualifier. Do you remember in last year's Open Cup, the social media marketing that St. Louis City SC did? They were tweets that were talking about St. Louis's history in the Open Cup and how the Open Cup matters. Flash forward to a year later with this controversy with the Open Cup and this one-line, two-line statement from Diego, who has only been in St. Louis for a few months, mind you, did not grow up in St. Louis, did not grow up in South St. Louis, North St. Louis, did not grow up, playing for a funeral home soccer team or supporting a funeral home soccer team or going to St. Louis Steamers games. No. Diego a South American by native, is the lone voice for St. Louis City SC on the matter of the U.S. Open Cup. Now, reality check here. St. Louis City SC is part of the MLS, which operates as a single entity league, meaning that as Don Garber and the brass at MLS go, all the little duckies had to fall behind them in a row, and that includes teams like St. Louis City, it includes teams like Inter Miami. Every single team in the MLS all have to follow the lead of the front office. That's the way this league is set up. It is set up to benefit just a few at the top. Let's just face it, it flat out is. That's just the MLS for you right there. It is set up to be a closed sandbox where they choose who gets to play in it, and it's got to be a very, very upper crusty type of a person that can play in it. That's why St. Louis didn't have an MLS team for so many years, because we didn't have a big money person step up until Carolyn Kindle Betts and company stepped up. And this is not a slight on them per se. And this isn't a St. Louis City SC issue per se. The issue is with MLS here. And that's where most of the weight falls here. And I'm not trying to take anything away from MLS from that. This is a nightmare of their own doing. But I question St. Louis City SC's silence on the Open Cup in this matter. If their social media marketing fluff last year was indeed just fluff, then I find it incredibly disappointing that they are siding with the MLS over the fans that buy the tickets, that buy merchandise, that buy some of these tchotchkes that you see behind me here, that buy the expensive stadium food at City Park. It's excellent stadium food, mind you, but it's still expensive stadium food, mind you. It maybe is time to come to grips with the fact that St. Louis City SC is going to be like every other MLS club, and they are going to walk the line that MLS sets for them. I did raise a question on Twitter, though, and this adds to the disappointment. MLS knows St. Louis is a runaway success story in this league. We sell out every single game. We buy all the merch. We buy all the hats. I've been a part of a couple of away days as well, which has helped, Sporting Kansas and Houston Dynamo just this very week. I was one of the 5,007 that walked into Shell Energy Stadium in Houston for the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Now, I know that's, not directly goes in MLS's pocket, which I'm sure is a big fear of the MLS that they can't control everything. But the fact remains, the fans are as much of a reason as the team, as the ownership, why St. Louis City SC is such a success story in this league. Now, can you look me in the eyes and tell me that there would be major repercussions for St. Louis City SC if they spoke out more in support of the Open Cup than that one statement from Diego? Do you really think MLS wants to play the game of pissing off St. Louis fans and driving even more cracks into what has been a runaway success story for them? And let's just face it, the most important thing for MLS, a gigantic revenue earner in St. Louis. Do they really want to flirt with dropping the goodwill that has been built over the past couple of years because St. Louis City SC officials spoke out in favor of the nation's most historic cup? Do you really, really think MLS wants to go down that road? And this is why I wonder why St. Louis City SC didn't back up their marketing from last year and speak out in support of the Open Cup more than they have. Because today's statement from Diego, while appreciated that they said something, was not only flimsy, but I'm going to go back to the point I made earlier, was made by a South American who's only been in St. Louis for a few months. Why not Jim Cavanaugh, who is as St. Louis as they come? Why not Carolyn Kindle Betts? Why not someone that has roots here in St. Louis speaking for the team? because it would go against the narrative of the MLS. What would MLS actually do if St. Louis City SC spoke out in support of the Open Cup? What would MLS actually do? Would it be a fine? I'm sure fans might even, strike up a collection to pay for that fine here in St. Louis, because that's how strongly we feel about the Open Cup. Would they dock us points? Well, that would piss us off. What would they actually do? I really wonder what they would actually do. So I'm a little disappointed in St. Louis City SC. I'm still supporting them, obviously. I love the team. I love the crest. I love the goodwill that has been fostered in this community already. But a lot of that love comes from supporters, from the St. Louligans. These guys right here on my left tit. These guys right here have fostered a supporter culture that is strong, that has spun off multiple supporter cultures. And unlike the team, the Louligans and every other supporters group, just about, I think most everyone has chimed in on this at this point, at least the major ones, have been very unambiguous about the U.S. Open Cup and MLS's stance in it today. The Thieves, who I just did a feature on this channel, put out a statement of their own as well. Disappointment is an understatement. For MLS to dismantle a 100-year-old tournament undermines the history of the game. At this time, the Thieves' leadership will be boycotting Leagues Cup games for the foreseeable future. Each member is free to make their own decision, but we ask that you join us. And again, a lot of other supporters groups have made similar statements. Florida Noise, St. Louligans, the Santos have come out, and I know there have been others. Unfortunately, I'm just, kind of missing, my mind's blanking right now, just partly out of irritation over this whole situation. But to supporter groups' credit, they have spoken up, and they have spoken out against the Open Cup all this time, and then today made these very strong statements about it, far more strong than we have heard from St. Louis City SC, and that's unfortunate. That is very unfortunate from this team that supposedly agrees with the rest of us, at least most of us rather, about the history and the importance of the Open Cup to this city and to the game of soccer in the U.S. as a whole. It is very, very disappointing. But speaking of the St. Louligans, I want to point something out and give them some credit here today. So I have been very active on Twitter today, like a lot of St. Louis City SC supporters have, and talking about the Open Cup and talking about what we're going to do to boycott the Leagues Cup. Now, people are just going to not go to the Leagues Cup games, which is fine. Some are taking it a step further and saying they're not going to buy merch, they're not going to buy stadium food. But the St. Louligans chimed in on a conversation that I was having with a Doncaster Rovers fan who was curious about the situation with the Open Cup and kind of made a comparison to a lower league cup that is over in England as well, that fans are also not a big fan of because it's kind of a farce. The Leagues Cup, being a farce here in St. Louis, in the U.S. rather. The Louligans, and I'll show you the conversation here, and I'm owning this. I am completely owning my ignorance towards U.S. lower league soccer culture here. The Louligans pointed out that they disagreed with me in my assessment that the U.S. doesn't really have a strong lower league culture. They say that U.S. soccer culture is alive and well in the lower leagues. I retorted that I wish it was to the degree it is in England and in other European countries, and that I do hope that it becomes like that in my lifetime. It's one reason I've been championing St. Charles FC so much on this channel and on Twitter lately. The Louligans then followed up saying, you need to get out there. It's comparable in some markets. And they raise an interesting challenge here. Now, I had been already planning during the Leagues Cup to, for one, boycott the Leagues Cup, but number two, do a tour of USL clubs that are within driving distance of St. Louis. I have already eyed Memphis. I've already eyed Louisville. I've already eyed Indy 11, Tulsa. As a stretch, maybe Birmingham to see Miggy Perez. I even had a couple suggestions today for Forward Madison, which the Louligans also suggested as well. Forward Madison is in USL 1, but they have a very strong supporter culture there that I actually kind of knew about even, even with my ignorance about U.S. soccer culture, I kind of knew about them already. And I'm very interested in seeing one of their games as well. Possibly July 20th is what I'm looking for that. I'm not saying you do like I do, but I'm challenging everyone that is watching this, that is upset about the Opens Cup, that is boycotting the Leagues Cup, to take further action than simply just not going, which is perfectly fine. Go to at least one USL Championship or USL 1 game during the time period of Leagues Cup. Pick a team. It doesn't have to be any of the teams that I mentioned. Pick a team. Go to one of those games and go see what true soccer culture and fandom is like that is outside of the MLS corporate umbrella. I am challenging you to just go see one. Now, my tentative plan is, at this point, again, I mentioned possibly July 20th at Forward Madison. July 27th, I'm thinking Memphis 901. I'm eyeing possibly August 3rd for Birmingham Legion with possible road trip with Randy Kopp. Shout out Randy. He's got to get his permission from his wife, though, in order for us to do that, because it is a bit of a longer drive. Here's an idea. If you want to make it a whole weekend, Indy 11 plays on Saturday, August 10th, and Louisville City plays on Sunday, August the 11th. Pretty close drive between Indy and Louisville. You can make it a doubleheader that weekend. That's what I'm actually planning on doing tentatively. I say tentatively just because of weather and just because of life events, that might pop up now and then. And then I also want to see FC Tulsa at some point, although they're scheduled during the Leagues Cup. They don't play on weekends. They play a lot of Fridays at home for some reason during that period, so that might be dicey. But regardless, I am inviting you. And I'm not just challenging you to go see USL during Leagues Cup time. I'm inviting you, if you want to join me on one of these trips, share a car with me, help drive, share gas, whatever. I mean, I think soccer is a lot more fun with friends, and I think soccer is a lot more fun with people of a similar cause. And I would love for you, if you wanted to come to one of these USL games with me, feel free. Go ahead, let me know. Drop a comment below in the comments below. And of course, at this time, I'll also say like and subscribe if you think this is a good idea. Like and subscribe if you are also against MLS's treatment of the Open Cup, and if you like this sort of content as well going forward. But yes, I am laying down the gauntlet. If you support the Open Cup and lower league soccer in the United States and you are against the Leagues Cup and the MLS and their treatment of the Open Cup, go to your lower leagues, go to a USL game, go to a couple USL games. Hell, go up to do what I do and just mark your calendar for that entire period during the Leagues Cup. I mean, you're not going to be going to any MLS games during that period anyway. You're going to have a break. It's a nice time of year. Go take a weekend trip to Memphis. Go take a weekend trip to Indy. Go take a weekend trip to Forward Madison. But let's show that we're not just angry over the Leagues Cup. Let's show that we do care about soccer culture in America. And let's show MLS that they're not the only players in town. This is your resident soccer zombie, Tom Franklin. Thank you for listening and watching to this completely unscripted ramble of mine, and I'll see you next time.